I don't need this child anymore, so you can take him. My brother's wife said that to me out of nowhere. What? What do you mean? I asked in response. Without answering my question, my brother's wife just said, Well then, take care, and left. I have a brother 2 years older than me. He is going to marry a certain woman. This woman is a divorced single mother, and her name is Mabel. She is the one that made the outrageous statement. At first, I thought it was a joke, but it wasn't. My name is Rebecca, and I'm 33 years old. I live with my husband, Austin, who is 2 years older than me. I had a major illness in the past, and as a result, I can't conceive children. Still, my husband said he didn't mind. We found out about it 2 years after we got married, when we went for infertility tests. After finding out I couldn't have children, I was depressed for a while, but then I made a big decision and proposed an idea to my husband. I graduated from a music college and had been a lecturer at a famous music school. After getting married, I quit my job to focus on fertility treatment and became a full-time housewife. But there was no need for that anymore, and I thought about getting a part-time job. However, instead of working outside, I begged my husband to let me be a piano teacher for children at home. Since we were living in an apartment, it was impossible to start a piano class there. We had to move to a house, which would cost a lot of money, so I couldn't make the decision by myself. Thinking that my husband would oppose it, I made the request anyways. Sounds good. We can't have pets in this apartment, so let's get a dog when we finish the house. He cheerfully agreed. The moving expenses were quite high, but my parents, who lived nearby, provided the down payment. In fact, my parents own some land and have several properties around here, and my father also runs a company. My brother works as an executive in that company and gave us one of those properties. We built a fully customized house on that property. We divided the entrance into 2 parts so that we could go to the classroom from inside the house, and we also welcomed a white toy poodle as a pet. Her name is Luna. At first, it was a small piano school, but thanks to word of mouth, it started gaining traction. And now, 3 years after opening, I have about 30 students a week. The students who love dogs play with Luna before they leave, and Luna has grown into a very affectionate and friendly dog. When my piano school started to take off, tragedy struck. My parents were involved in a fire at a hotel they were staying at and passed away. My brother had invited his fiancée to our parents' funeral. At the wake, a woman with a boy about elementary school age, whom no one in our family had ever seen before, appeared among the relatives. After the wake, in a corner of the venue, the woman was looking for someone. As soon as she found my brother, she left the boy behind and ran towards him. "You will introduce me to your family today, right?" The woman spoke words that were inappropriate for the occasion. My husband and I looked at each other when we heard those words. By that time, there were only a few relatives left, and we were the only ones who had heard those words. My brother, who noticed us, suddenly introduced her, saying, "This is Mabel, my fiancée." What? What does that mean? I couldn't help but raise my voice. Actually, I was planning to introduce her to everyone, including Mom and Dad, next month. But then, this happened. So, I thought I would introduce her on this occasion. What an absurd thing to say. After being introduced, Mabel, in a cheerful mood, said, "Nice to meet you. I'm Mabel, and I'm going to marry your brother." She introduced herself in a tone that was completely inappropriate for a wake. I was dumbfounded and could only say, hello? She didn't seem to care about that and said, well then, I'll come again tomorrow. She took her son's hand and left like a storm. Rick, what the hell was that at a time like this? Please don't invite them tomorrow. I didn't want Mabel to come to the final farewell with my parents. My brother reluctantly contacted Mabel and told her not to come tomorrow. He has never had his own opinion, he just does as he's told. I've always disliked that about my brother, and we were never really close. She said she's not coming tomorrow. As my brother had said, she didn't come to the funeral the next day. I was relieved that I could properly send off my parents. After everything was over, we were entrusted with my parents' remains until the memorial service, so my brother came over to help us with the preparations. It was unusual for my brother to act on his own will, and I found it strange. I understood the reason for that as soon as I arrived home. For some reason, Mabel and her son were sitting in front of the entrance. You're late. I've been waiting forever. Mabel was irritated, so I listened while glaring at her. Why are you here? Well, we couldn't go to the funeral because you told us not to come, Mabel said. And then she followed with something completely unexpected. Oh, by the way, I don't need this child anymore, so I'll give him to you. Those words momentarily stopped my thoughts. What? What do you mean? In response to my words, I heard you can't have children. That's why I'm giving him away, she said. My brother must have heard about my infertility. I was perplexed, and she whispered in my ear. Milo is the child of my ex-husband, and I'm actually pregnant with your brother's child right now, so I don't need this child. She handed me adoption papers with the necessary information. I wanted to say, isn't this your own child? But when I looked closely at Milo, I noticed that despite it being summer, he was wearing long sleeves and pants. Something was off, so I kept silent. Well then, take care, she said casually, and before I knew it, she got in the car with my brother and left, as if pushing Milo onto us, even though we hadn't even responded yet. Milo remained silent, looking down. My husband gently stroked Milo's head and said, It'll be okay. I tried calling my brother several times, but he didn't answer, perhaps because he was driving. So I turned to Milo and spoke to him. Milo, would you like to stay overnight at Auntie's house today? Milo looked at me and nodded. After that, I'm going to take a bath and pick up the dog. So Milo, let's go together. Do you have spare clothes? The bath referred to a spa that my husband and I often visited. We had originally planned to go there to relax and relieve fatigue before picking up Luna from the pet boarding place. Milo took out his belongings from his child-sized backpack. He only had 3 tattered t-shirts and 1 pair of pants. Surprised, we started by going to buy clothes for Milo. We carefully selected and purchased them. Then we went straight to the spa with my husband and Milo going to the men's bath. Afterwards, we went to pick up Luna, who was being kept at the pet boarding kennel during the funeral. And Milo's eyes sparkled when he saw Luna. It was the first time I saw Milo smile. During the car ride back home, Milo held Luna in his arms the whole time. Milo, do you like dogs? Since we arrived home, I spoke to Milo. Yeah, I love dogs. This one is called Luna, right? What kind of dog is Luna? Milo asked excitedly. It was the first time Milo asked me a question. I told him the breed, and he replied, Oh, I see. You're so cute," while petting Luna. Luna, having interacted with many children before, calmly and contently enjoyed being caressed by Milo. That day, Milo slept together with Luna. As I watched his face sleeping blissfully, anger welled up inside me towards my brother and Mabel's attitude during the day. After Milo fell asleep, I tried calling my brother again, but he had blocked my calls. I left a message just in case, but he probably won't even read it. When my husband saw Milo's body in the bath, there were no bruises, but his body was skinny and his head had severe dandruff. Also, from what I heard, he had been wearing the same clothes all year round. Because all the clothes he had were long-sleeved and long pants, Milo apparently had no friends in the elementary school because he was avoided by his classmates. It became clear that Mabel prioritized her appearance and hadn't done anything for the child. I thought it was unfortunate for my brother to marry such a woman, but he chose her himself. I didn't want to entrust Milo to these irresponsible two. After discussing with my husband, we considered taking him to a facility, but when we saw how happy he looked with Luna, we couldn't bring ourselves to do it. I sent my brother another email saying, "We want custody of Milo, so let's proceed with the necessary arrangements." He immediately contacted me, and we managed to complete the procedures related to things like Milo's schooling and such. Although we had decided to take Milo in, I wasn't really sure what to say to him. Since it was Milo's summer vacation, he stayed at our house as a guest for a while. While I taught my students at the piano school, he stayed at home with Luna as a companion. As we lived together, we began to think of Milo as an important family member. The stronger these feelings grew, the more I wondered what would make Milo the happiest. I had worried about whether it would be better for him to live with his real mother at my brother's place, but I remembered the attitude of my brother's wife when she left him behind, and I made up my mind not to send him back. While pondering when to tell Milo the truth, there was only about 1 week left of summer vacation. Considering the school procedures and such, I prepared myself to have the conversation with Milo. "Milo, I have something important to talk about. It's about your mother." As I began, Milo lowered his gaze and started speaking. "I know. Mom left me behind, right? I'm already 8 years old. I understand, Auntie." "Yeah, you're right. You're already 8. I didn't quite understand because I don't have any children of my own. I'm sorry." As I said that, Milo shook his head. "As long as you're okay with it, I want us to keep living together here like this. What do you think?" I continued to ask, and Milo, who had been looking down, looked at me and said, "Can I stay here? I like Uncle and Auntie because you're nice. I thought I might get kicked out because I'm not your real child. And it's fun because Luna's here too. I want to stay here." He pleaded with us. My husband and I hugged Milo. "You are already our family. It's going to be okay. There's nothing to worry about." The three of us cried together. After that, we proceeded with Milo's transfer procedures, and he started attending the local school. He also began to show interest in the piano, so I decided to teach him, and he improved rapidly, to the point of participating in piano competitions. 7 years after Milo came to our house, he performed excellently in his piano competitions, and ended up getting interviewed by the media as a prodigious pianist. By that time, he was also streaming on YouTube, gaining a significant number of views, and he was scheduled to appear on television as a popular YouTuber. About a week after the broadcast, my brother and Mabel suddenly came to our house. "We've come to take Milo back," Mabel declared. Upon hearing that, I burst out laughing, which infuriated Mabel. Why are you laughing? Just give Milo back already. I saw him on TV. I heard he's doing YouTube too. I won't forgive you for hogging Milo's success, she yelled hysterically. However, it was an unreasonable request. Unfortunately, you're a day too late, I said with a laugh. What? What do you mean? Just give him back, Mabel shouted in an agitated voice. Even if she said such things, it was impossible, so I firmly refused as well. Milo was taken by your ex-husband yesterday. Why would you give him to that guy? Mabel was in a state of confusion, but I was just conveying the facts. However, when my brother heard the words ex-husband, he suddenly became angry and started speaking. Why did you give Milo away? What am I supposed to do if I can't have his money? I was extremely angry at what my brother had just said. Rick, just stop it already. You've never had anything to do with Milo before, have you? And now this? Just because your company is in trouble, it doesn't give you the right to rely on Milo's money. I had never been so angry at my brother before, so he was a little surprised, but he continued. What's your problem with me, huh? Besides, it's not just about the money. Mabel's ex-husband cheated on her, and he did terrible things to Milo at home. Who knows what he would do to Milo if he got a hold of him? Oh? It seems like I heard the opposite story. I wonder which one is true, Mabel. I turned to Mabel and asked. Then, Mabel's face rapidly turned pale. Mabel, what's wrong? You look pale, I asked, and Mabel changed the subject. More importantly, why did he end up taking Milo? Is it also because he's after money? That's not true at all. Mabel, don't you know about your ex-husband's profession? Don't you know Marcus the composer? What? No way! When he was with me, he wasn't successful at all. And you're telling me that now he's the Marcus who makes songs for idols and stuff? That's right. That Marcus learned about Milo and came to meet him. And then Milo went to him willingly, I explained. In fact, the reason Milo started streaming videos on YouTube was to find his father. After Milo started living with us, he began to talk about his biological father more often. Thinking that Milo wanted to live with his father, I asked him, "Do you want to meet your dad?" He nodded with a smile. So I asked for Milo's father's name and searched for him on social media. And I found someone with the same name and contacted him, asking him to watch Milo's YouTube channel. Marcus did watch Milo's YouTube videos and responded to my message. It seems he had also been looking for Milo, and after seeing a pendant that Milo treasures show up in one of the videos, he was absolutely certain. Anyway, I'm glad we were able to hand Milo over to Marcus before Mabel and my brother arrived. Mabel collapsed in tears right then and there. At the same time, my brother came and kneeled before me, saying, "Can you lend me some money?" Looks like the company is really in trouble. I was bluffing earlier to find out the truth, but I never expected it to be this dire. How pathetic. What happened to the inheritance we received from our parents? My brother had been living with our parents until they passed away, and had been leeching off them at his age. He even entered our parents' company through nepotism. Although he didn't work much, he held the position of executive director. I wasn't interested in our parents' company, so I didn't care. But my brother took over as the company's president. However, his management was sloppy, and I heard that in the past 7 years, he had driven the company to the verge of bankruptcy. And by the way, it seems that the inheritance from our parents vanished into luxury cars and purchasing an expensive condo. Furthermore, My brother fell into risky investment schemes in an attempt to save the company, losing all of the funds. It was during that time when he happened to see Milo on TV and decided to come reclaim him with Mabel. "Don't rely on other people's money and find a way to take care of yourself," I told them, and chased them out of the entrance. Even after that, Mabel and my brother made a ruckus in front of the entrance, so my husband, thinking it would cause a disturbance in the neighborhood, called the police. The police arrived and took both of them away. Later, it was revealed that they had been neglecting their child who was born between them, and the child was taken to a child welfare facility. It seems they both ended up in prison together. On the other hand, Milo is studying composition under his biological father's guidance, and is working hard as a high school student and pianist. I was sad when Milo decided to leave our house, but he writes me letters every month, keeping me updated on his current situation. He occasionally visits Luna as well, so I never feel lonely. When Milo was leaving the house, he said to us while crying, "I always thought of you two as my real parents. Thank you for taking care of me." Upon hearing those words, we couldn't stop crying for a while. Now, Milo's music is requested by my students, and I'm also studying his pieces. I hope to continue witnessing the growth of many children in the future.